Hello and welcome. Today I'm in the Tier 9 US destroyer, the Fletcher, and she is the best destroyer in the game. At least tier by tier. Sure, she isn't going to win every 1 versus 1 against every other destroyer, because I think a Gearing would probably be able to beat the Fletcher. However, tier by tier she is definitely the strongest, because, well, she doesn't have any obvious drawbacks and she has a lot going for her. She has incredible damage per minute because she is a US destroyer. She is maneuverable. She is fairly fast. She has the best torpedoes for tier 9. She has the best smoke for tier 9. She has the strongest anti-air of any destroyer. Even better than Gearing, by the way. That is if defensive fire is up. Of course you don't have to take defensive fire, but US destroyers get access to defensive fire, which is a pretty big deal. I'm using the defensive fire consumable here. Unfortunately, there is no carrier in this game, but regardless. I mean, it's still useful. So, I went to the A-cap on the map North, because that's where I spawned, and there are quite many battleships coming in this direction and some cruisers. Unfortunately, well, they are Bismarcks and there's many of them, and we only have 3 people here, so I think the enemy team actually is going to push into the cap zone, so I don't think I can hold it. I will try to take the cap zone and then just run away and try to keep torpedoing them. But they definitely don't want to stick around. Unfortunately, yeah, it didn't work out. The Bismarcks entered the cap zone before I actually got to take it, with 4 seconds to go. But I just have to go, I can't stay around. Because even if I smoke, the Bismarcks are just going to hydro and, well, I will just die. The torpedo salvo was very successful though. I hit 3 of them for 35,000 damage total. On multiple of them. So, what do I mean when I said earlier that the Fletcher is the best torpedo destroyer? Shouldn't that be the Japanese ones? Well, you would think so, but that's not actually the case. You see, the Fletcher has 2x5 torpedoes with something like 1.5 kilometer concealment, and they are 66 knots speed at 10.5 kilometers. The Yugumo has 10 kilometer torpedoes, which have like 1.8, 1.9 kilometer concealment, but that are 67 knots, and those are 2x4. You also have the option of taking the F3s, which are 1.8 kilometer or 1.9 kilometer concealment, and 76 knots, but if you add up the reaction time, you would find that you actually have less reaction time to Fletcher torpedoes than any of the Yugumo torpedoes. And then you have to remember the fact that they are essentially the same cooldown on all of those torpedoes, yet the Fletcher gets 2x5, which means 10 torpedoes, whereas the Yugumo gets 2x4, which is 8 torpedoes. Yes, there's a slight damage difference, and, if you account for things like hydro, then yes, the F3s are slightly better, but still. Consider that these torpedoes are on top of everything else, like the best anti-air, the best smoke, because US destroyer smoke lasts for a lot longer than any of the other smokes, and she is an absolute monster. And honestly, when I was at Wargaming Fest in Moscow, I asked if they, were thinking of nerfing the Fletcher in some way, and I was really surprised that Wargaming said no, that they thought the Fletcher was fine. Like, this is really surprising to me, because pretty much everybody you talk to will say that yes, the Fletcher is the best destroyer. Especially at tier 9. I mean, sure, if you take tier 10s into account, then something like a Gearing is obviously going to outperform the Fletcher, but even then, the Fletcher has some advantages, like 5.8 kilometer concealment. That's fairly good, and that means you have better stealth fire range. Yes, it's like 200 meters or 300 meters, but you also actually tend to have better torpedoes. Like, I think the Fletcher torpedoes deal more damage and have better cooldown than Gearing ones. Yes, Gearing has more range, but you don't really care about the torpedo range past 10 kilometers that much, because it doesn't really make much of a difference if you have 15, 16, 17, 20, it's all the same. You're never going to fire torpedoes, intentionally to hit that far. Or I guess never say never, but almost never. And because, well, she is a US destroyer, she also has some amazing fire, or I guess the fire chance is pretty poor, but because she has like 18 rounds per minute and 5 guns, well, she does set quite many fires. I'm actually quite lucky here in this match while firing Orada about the Bismarck, because it appears the Bismarck is not actually trying to come closer to me. So as a result, I am able to, you know, sit in the smoke and utilize it to its fullest. And I think those torpedoes, well, some of them should hit the battleship as she was going in that direction. And, you know, speaking of Fletcher again, one of the nice things is that she doesn't actually lose anything in particular for all these advantages that she has. Because she is, again, still fairly maneuverable and all that stuff, something almost no other destroyer gets. Like if you look at the German destroyers, then, well, you'll find that they have a lot lower damage per minute, they can't stealth fire as easily, and, you know, similar things like that. Oh, and their torpedoes, well, I guess the German destroyer torpedoes are still actually really good, but they don't have things like defensive fire, so yeah, the Fletcher is absolutely insane. Anyways, I guess I'm gonna start sailing away from them, because the smoke is going to dissipate in a moment, and I want to keep stealth firing at the Friedrich. I need 100 meters more, then I can do it. So the Tashkent over there is an interesting target. Like, the problem with our current match is that we don't have enough cap points, or cap zones. Because we have the decap, which we are probably going to hold, because for some reason 2 of our big ships went to the decap. I guess it's alright, but we have to kill all of these ships in front of us to actually get to the A cap, and I don't think we'll be able to take the B cap, because it appears that there were some allies in that direction. Sorry, some enemies in that direction. We might be able to take C, but it's still quite a gamble, so I think pushing for the A cap is the right decision here. I'm gonna just fire at the Friedrich der Grosse, even though I am within detection range while firing, and her secondaries are going to open up. But honestly, remember, at these kinds of ranges as a destroyer, these secondaries are... they're not very scary, because most of them just aren't going to hit. Yes, it's annoying if they break your engine like just happened, but she was so low HP that I think it was worth trying. So, now... I'm heading straight for the A cap. I would really like to kill that Bismarck, but I don't think I should actually fire at her, because, well, she's too far away, and the shell travel time is fairly long. I'm getting closer, so I'm gonna try now, but I don't hold out much hope for these actually hitting. But then again, you know, I'm not gonna be spotted while firing, so I might as well try, at least somewhat. I'm not gonna use all my guns, I think, at some point soon, because I will be trying to take the A cap as soon as possible. Still, if these shells hit and deal even a little bit of damage, it'll be worth it, because it doesn't really cost me all that much. Maybe a few seconds on the A cap, I guess, at best. Also, yeah, I didn't mention it earlier, but I am in a division, obviously, as you have probably noticed. Unfortunately, one of ours was taken out really early. It's alright though, because I'm kinda making up for it, at least I think I am. I have to also, one other thing is that if I am firing my guns, it means that I will be able to know if a destroyer gets within 9.6 kilometers or, you know, any other ship. Because, you know, I know my stealth fire range, which is 9.6 kilometers, and if I end up being spotted, somebody is within that range. Okay, so I did get the fire on the Bismarck. She is starting to turn around though, so I'm gonna do pretty much the same. I want to keep stealth firing at her. I could use smoke, I guess, but I don't know if it's worth it. I mean, if I can keep stealth firing, it's worth it to try. I'm gonna torpedo her, and if you noticed, I didn't use the prediction line almost at all, because I think the Bismarck is going to do a full turn and then start coming either in this direction or, you know, turn away completely. And if she turns away, well, the torpedoes are gonna miss, but if she comes this way, they should hit, or at least have a chance of hitting. I'm gonna use smoke now and keep firing. The reason why I'm gonna use smoke is because I don't want to be hit by the Bismarck and have my capping go to waste, because I think we need to take this cap zone as early as possible. Unfortunately, the North Carolina is not giving vision on the Bismarck right now, but I think it'll be alright. We got the A cap, and oh, the torpedo finished her off. That's very good. So, we are still fairly behind because the enemy team did have 3 cap zones for quite a while we only held 1. So even if we are equal more or less in ships, we're not still equal in points. So we still need to do more about that one. I'm not quite certain if I want to fire here. On the one hand, I would really like to kill this Atago. On the other hand, I think if I start a fight here, I'm gonna be spotted, and I believe the Atago is going to wipe the floor with me. Or even if that doesn't happen, I might still take a lot of damage, but I don't know, it's very tempting. Like, it's really tempting, because the Atago would have to switch targets, and that's gonna be annoying for her as well. So I don't know. This is a big temptation, and I don't know what the correct answer here is. I'm gonna start firing now though, because I am fairly far away, so in 600 meters I'm gonna be within stealth fire range, so if she does switch targets for me, she's gonna be disappointed very quickly, because in a few seconds I will be out of protection range, in which case I'm not gonna be spotted, and that's exactly what happened. So now I'm gonna start turning closer, and oh, I actually got the kill. That's slightly surprising. So unfortunately the North Carolina that was in the A cap was also taken out. Probably by the Tashkent torpedoes or the other destroyers' torpedoes. That's unfortunate, and I think we kinda need another cap zone. What I think is going to happen is the Tashkent is going to head into the A cap to try to cap it, so I'm gonna do exactly the same thing. I would like to go to the B cap, but because I think the Tashkent is going to try to take the A cap, I'm gonna try to fight her for it. Because if I can stop her from capping A, and if I can ambush her to some degree, I should be able to take her out, and that should give us some advantage back, because it's a 3 against 4 right now, so any kills are useful. I still have to keep in mind that if the Tashkent gets too far away from me, if I try to fight her, she is going to, you know, have a significant advantage, because the Soviet destroyers are really good shell arcs, and well, there she is. She's gonna start running now, so I'm gonna try my best here. She still has 6000 HP, so this is going to be quite a fight. I might lose this, especially, well, I mean, I think I'll be able to take the Tashkent out, but if she torpedoed right now, this might be slightly dangerous. I don't think she did though, at least not yet anyway. But still, I had to keep that in mind. So she used her smokescreen and she's gonna run away. Yes, she is faster than I am, and I don't have access to speed boost because I took defensive fire. So she is likely going to increase the distance between us from something like 6 kilometers to, I don't know, 7 or 8, which is going to make the fight even more difficult for me. Oh, and she kept running. Okay, never mind. She is solo HP. I think it should be alright, because if I hit her like once or twice, it should be over. And goodbye. She did torpedo, but unfortunately for her, she didn't quite predict it correctly, so I got her finished off nicely. So at this point we are still behind in ships. It's 2 against 3 now, and well, we are still behind in points on top of that. I only have a friendly Tirpitz, and they have an Atago, Benson and Iowa, and the Benson is fairly high HP. I think our main target here, okay, I guess we can't take out the Atago after all. Good thing is that the Tirpitz is actually sitting in the B cap, which means that you aren't taking any points from that cap zone, so we are gaining on them 3 points per, tick, but it'll take quite a while to actually make up for it, and I'm not quite certain if there is enough time for that, since there is only 4 minutes and 30 seconds to go. Because I know where their Benson is, I am going to make trying to fight her a priority, because she is very healthy, as healthy as I am, so it might be incredibly difficult to actually take her out. I I think I'll be able to fight once, you know, it'll be a fight against the Ataga and Iowa, but we need this Benson gun for that. Unfortunately, she seems to not be running away from me, but instead coming closer, so I think, you know, I should at least be able to kill her, and that should give us a fighting chance, because the worst thing for us would be if we somehow manage to kill the Ataga and Iowa, and then the Benson runs away to win the game. And, well, as you just saw, the Benson actually completely ran into my shells, and I only lost like 1000 HP from that, and that's a Kraken Unleashed. So the Ataga here is the priority target, obviously, because she is the cruiser and she is the squishier target. The Tirpitz is still in the big cap, but, you know, it might not work out all that well. I torpedoed the Ataga and the Tirpitz both. Sorry, the Ataga and the Iowa both, but I don't think that either of them are really going to hit, but, you know, I have to take the chances. I'm gonna keep firing. At least I was for a while. The reason why I want to fire is that so they don't shoot at my Tirpitz. And if they switch targets to me, and then I use something like smokescreen or just dodge them for quite a while, the enemies will have to switch back to the Tirpitz, which is going to be very annoying and spend quite a bit of their time. Still, I think it would be very, very good if we could take out the cruiser, because she is a much bigger threat to me than the Iowa is. Okay, she is fairly low HP now, 3000 HP. I'm gonna use smoke now, because the Tirpitz does spot for me. You know, I can utilize the smoke screen to the fullest extent, but hitting an actual cruiser at 9+ kilometers is fairly difficult. Because the shell travel time is, well, it's 6+ seconds, and the cruiser is fairly maneuverable. But, you know, she has very little HP. Oh, and the Tirpitz took her out. So now it's a fight against only an Iowa. The Tirpitz unfortunately didn't get the B cap, and she isn't inside it anymore, so in terms of points the enemies are actually leading, so we definitely need to kill this Iowa. And it seems the Iowa actually has abandoned shooting the Tirpitz. Her guns aren't really pointing towards her. I'm gonna just take advantage as much as I can of this smoke screen. I have to remember that at 2 kilometers any ship is going to see another ship even if it's inside smoke screen. And at 3 kilometers if she has the target acquisition module, she will also spot me, and apparently she does. I fired one salvo of torpedoes early, and now I fired the second one once I was spotted, because I was afraid that I was gonna be killed by that salvo. But fortunately my torpedoes are gonna take care of this. And there it is. The Fletcher is a very powerful ship, the best destroyer in my opinion. And as you can see from the results, I had a very good game as well. This result isn't really, you know, an indicator as to how powerful the ship is, because obviously you can have these great games in any kind of ship, but it was a good game, and the Fletcher is definitely powerful. 515,000 credits, 10,000 experience. Confederate, Kraken Unleashed, high caliber, 215,000 damage, 345 shell hits. And penetrations the majority, 7 torpedo hits, 6 ships sunk, 10 fires, 7 floodings, and 1 solo capture. Team score wise, 2,770 base experience, that's a very good result. Unfortunately, my division mate didn't go. The game didn't go so well for him on the Iowa, and I think the enemy Tashkent played really well. The idea to go for the A-cap was a good one, and the fact that, you know, that guy actually survived for a long time, that was well played. That's my compliment. And, you know, obviously the Aerroon on our team also did fairly well, so I complimented that guy as well. But again, the Fletcher is very, very strong. Really, really strong. If you want a destroyer that's powerful, the Fletcher is definitely it. If there was ranked at tier 9, I would definitely pick Fletcher to try to get to rank 1. Because she is just that good. Detailed report, and here's the 215,000 damage. 57,000 damage in fires and floodings, almost a Wither, not quite though. 80,000 damage from torpedo hits alone, and 78 or 79,000 damage from the shell hits themselves. I guess technically you would have to account the fire damage in the HE shell damage, so it should total something like 100,000. More than that, I guess. Credits in XP, and 337,000 credits profit. Even without premium, that would have been 165,000 profit. And as you saw, 10,000 experience and 26,000 captain experience. So anyways, if you liked this video, then like it. If you disliked it, then dislike it. And I would like to thank the Patreons on Patreon. Thank you very much for your continued support. Se vol mozo, and I hope I see you guys next time.